Hey there, comic book friends. I'm Travis.
I'm Ethan.
And this is
Monster Comic Reviews.
That's right, for the
second half of the first week of July.
I almost said June. Anyway, what are we doing first?
Okay, first up we have Earth 2 Issue 3. The new Green Lantern.
New Green Lantern. I'm enjoying this comic. Let me talk about some of the things that kind of bother me. There's parts of it that are really kind of cheesy and over the top.
Well, I mean, I can understand that, like, in this, spoiler, but whatever, I assume that you wouldn't be watching it if you...
We're so far behind everybody else, I think everybody else has a chance to read it.
So, but when Scott, there we go, yeah, he's Alan Scott.
Alan Scott.
When his lover dies, when what's his face dies, right, the Green Lantern shows up, right, and it talks, not the Green Lantern, the Green bonfire, flame, whatever you call it, shows up and starts to talk to him about what he needs to do, right, and talks about how he couldn't save his lover, just him, after the train blew up.
Right.
And it tells him that they need something to focus his power on. And it made sense to me that he was using the ring that he was proposing with. Sure. But the way that it was done was really cheesy.
Yeah, well, it's not just that.
I mean, it was good.
It was the whole, there were just lots of lines there that to me just felt really, really kind of cheesy. So I'm excited for him to be be Green Lantern. I like the look of his costume, even though the classic is cool. I really like the classic Earth 2 Green Lantern thing, with the cape and whatnot. But I do like this costume. I like the fact that he has to have a focal point, and the focal point is would have been the wedding ring, with his lover. That's all well and fine. It's just some of the lines in it were kind of corny and cheesy. Now, stuff I liked. I liked the Flash and Hawkgirl interaction and whatnot.
That was cool.
That was all well and that was fun and whatnot.
I like the rot.
What I'm most excited about is she basically implies that Dr. Fate is going to show up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love Dr. Fate.
Dr. Fate's so awesome.
So I'm so excited about that, and I watched a little behind the scenes video that DC Nation put out that Robinson talks about the fact that definitely Dr. Fate is coming up, because how can you have basically a Justice Society type book without Dr. Fate in there? So yeah, right. So that was sweet. Yeah, we get the rot, which basically we get the impression it's the gray. It's called the gray here. So it's not exactly the rot, but it's kind of like the rot.
Yeah, it might as well be the black.
And he's the green, but not exactly. He works for Earth.
I really hope
since
he's the green, that doesn't make it so he's weak to wood.
That'd be hilarious. That's the original. That was the original thing.
I know. And it talks about how it's pretty much the planet, Earth, going, hey, here's your power. Yeah. Go use it, whatnot. Yeah. So I wonder if that means he will be weak to wood, which would be kind of sad. Because all that means is, the next super strength villain he fights just needs to pick up a tree and chuck it at his face. Yeah. And that'll be a really quick battle.
And so we get the gray, and the implication is the gray is like Solomon Grundy, right?
Yeah, that was awesome.
It's cool, but he's not a big giant lumbering guy. I like the old Marsh giant lumbering guy. So
I like the third person talking, almost a Hulk, but not quite. Yeah. Grundy.
Yeah. So, no, as a whole, I'm really liking this book. I enjoy the heck out of this book. What would we rate it?
As for the rot, also, yes, a crisis, and it doesn't have to do with apocalypse.
Oh yeah. Yes. Yeah, that's right, because you were complaining about that everything was apocalypse.
I know. I mean, I wasn't saying that we necessarily had to get rid of all the apocalypse, or that
but just that it shouldn't be the only issue.
It just shouldn't. Yeah, it's not the only.
Yeah. I won't keep arguing that point with you, but I think you're wrong. But whatever.
I'd give it a 3. If it were a little less cheesy, then it'd be a 4. But
I agree. Strong 3 would have been a 4 if we would have had a little bit better dialogue. So I'm hoping. This kind of worries me. This is the second book in a row that the cheesy dialogue has been attached to Alan Scott. So hopefully that kind of
stops.
That kind of stops at some point. Yeah. But like I said, still excited about the book and whatnot. Next, we're going to talk about Green Arrow number 11.
I didn't read this comic. I read like the first few pages, and it was killing me. So when it becomes a chore to read something, it felt more like, Ethan, eat your lima beans, go wash the rest of the house, and then read Green Arrow. And then maybe if you're lucky, you could eat the rest of your dinner.
Wait, you don't like lima beans?
I don't like lima beans at all. But. So I didn't read it.
Okay, so I can talk about it because of course I read it because it's Green Arrow and I hate myself. So I read this issue. There's a new plot line. There's some political strife going on in the book. That was actually almost interesting. because I like Green Arrow being a politically active character in some sense, and there's this whole argument with the 99 and stealing from the rich and giving to the poor and some of that stuff and whatnot. Now, the art continues to be a disaster in the book. The dialogue is pretty horrific. He says lots of things that just sound really stupid. I mean, I know Ollie's younger, but he says dude way too much, even though I say dude. I don't know. It just it was tough. It was tough to read. Like I said, I'm done with the book. I made my last order. I didn't order this book. I am getting up to issue 0 because it's because Judd Whittaker's writing it.
Oh.
And somebody else is doing the art.
Okay.
So I'll get that one. It's kind of supposed to tell us kind of what happened on the island, to give us the new origin of
like
of
what
Green
happened
Arrow.
with Aquaman.
Well, maybe we'll see that part. I don't know if we'll see that part or not. Anyway, so there's that. So I'll definitely get that. The art's going to get better going down the road because I don't know if it's a permanent change, but for the next like 3 or 4 issues down the road, Freddie Williams II is going to be doing it, which I'm not a huge fan of his, but his lines are at least cleaner and not as chaotic and confusing as this. Your mom read this book and she pointed out that one of the black arrows that's in this, she thinks is the guy who is his tech help. And to me, I didn't see that. Oh, another thing about this book that drove me crazy was he's on this jet. They're going to China to decide whether or not they're going to sell. Some Chinese guy has bought most of Queen Industries. He's gonna
I think I remember that.
And he's going to try and get it back. Well, on his way there, he's flying in this stealth fighter thing that has been built by this pilot, and he basically tells the pilot that he's Green Arrow. Does he just tell everybody that he's Green Arrow now? They're playing around with a grappling hook arrow little thing, and it's just ridiculous in the cab. It's just totally dumb, makes no sense at all. So they can use the grappling hook later on in the fight, but it just is, yeah. Dumb comic. Do not buy this comic. If you have any thoughts at all about buying this comic and you haven't bought it yet and you can get out of paying for it, do not pay for this comic. Ethan, you can't even rate the thing, can you? Because you didn't even read the whole thing.
I don't know, I think I'd give it a 0.
I give it a 1. I give it a 1 because I like the politics that were going to be involved in it, but otherwise it was delivered really poorly in this character.
Is Merlin in that? Is the person with the bow and arrow Merlin?
No,
Oh.
no.
Well, that's not even cool then.
No, these are just people that have bows and arrows and are doing the Robin Hood gig.
Cool.
By supposedly stealing from the rich, and they steal from a charity auction, which of course is kind of funny because it's going to charity. So I mean that part of the plot was okay. That's why I give it a 1 instead of a 0. Anyway, what's next?
Okay, next up we have a good book, The Punisher, issue 13. What do you think?
Oh yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the art in this one.
Yeah.
It was kind of dicey as far as I wasn't sure who we were looking at in some cases. I mean, obviously they were in disguise to some degree. But no, I like the book. I like them kind of going into the plays. You know, the Punisher is supposed to attract all the attention on him so she can get what she needs to steal from there, because there's like this auction of bad guy parts and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. The art was shaky, and I also like the part where they see the person one of the people who orchestrated that entire mass murder of pretty much everybody she knows
Punisher,
and likes.
all the Punisherettes people, yeah.
And the fact that Castle is, now that she's accepted being dead, he's a little bit more acceptive of her feelings and wanting to, he's a little bit more gentle. He's not punch in the face. No, you can't do that. And they did a good job of doing that without making it seem like Punisher's
of telling her, hey, you got to stay on the reservation. You have to stay on.
And they did a good job of doing that without making it seem like the Punisher is only doing that because she went with him.
Right. Yeah, definitely a very
more
good
so
book.
as not quite a friend, but as comrades and mutual understanding of having all of your loved ones killed. So.
And everybody who's not reading this book, you need to go read this book.
It's really good.
Not necessarily this issue, but this title in general, because we need to keep it around.
Yeah.
It coming up is going to stop.
Yeah.
And if there's going to become this kind of other mini-series that has to do with the Avengers in it and whatnot, which I'm sure the reason that is they want to draw some more sales to the book, hopefully help boost it up. So of course what do? You put your biggest franchise in the book. But I hope it comes back after that. I'm going to be pretty bummed. And I hope it's not a team book. Ghost Critic said that he thought it was a team book. I hope it's not a team book. I hope it's not him teaming up with Avengers. I hope it has more to do with he's doing his thing, and the Avengers are going, wait a second, should we be letting this guy do what he's doing?
Yeah.
Because I mean, you know, he just pulls the trigger on all kinds of people. So, yeah. So what would we rate this book?
I give it 4.
Would you?
Yep.
A week 4. A week 4. I guess. Really enjoying it though.
Better. It'd be nice.
Okay, so next we're going to talk about Stormwatch number 11.
So, I like this book. At first I was like, until I got to the end, I was just kind of like, what? So we have this backstory with the Neanderthals, that Neanderthals have been
at odds with humans.
secretly kept alive. Well, not kept alive, but they've been secretly alive. And yes, they've been fighting with humans, in specific Stormwatch, because Stormwatch is the only person who really knows about them for like
forever.
Ever. Since pretty much humans were humans, not Neanderthals.
Yep, prehistoric time.
So that was pretty cool. It looks like the Neanderthals have some mystic, shamanical, however you want to say that.
Yeah.
Definitely more different gods, different things, spirits and whatnot.
Right.
As they have the little markings. Also sounds like that they have some more animalistic abilities. Like they hibernate.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like you don't see much of them. They hibernate anytime they get taken a big thumping. They hibernate to regenerate slowly over time.
They can pass all of their knowledge down to the next line.
They have a universal consciousness as far as universal history. Yeah.
And one of the guys, as he gets his butt totally beat by Midnighter, is talking about how he's gone feral. So I'm assuming that means he goes a little bit more crazy and maybe gets stronger, even though he's less in control.
He's berserker.
Yeah, obviously though that doesn't stand up too well to Midnighter and Apollo.
Yeah. So
who are still my favorite characters.
And of course, what's the big thing that the Neanderthals are working on to try and finally beat the humans?
The De-Evolver, which is this big hunk of technology, this little box.
It's kind of a silly name, but the idea of what it does is pretty horrific.
It literally does that. It de-evolves things.
So, you know, we're these higher thinking humans and whatnot.
You go backwards.
You get hit with this thing, you degrade down to basically monkey man.
Yep. Which is
wicked.
Yeah.
And
then the reason that I was skeptical of this is because, so they hit the team with that. It starts out with them collecting, they're there and they're collecting enough stuff to fuel this.
Right.
And they get away. And then you find out the last Stormwatch was completely wiped out by the De-Evolver.
Right.
That they all got hit with it and they all died.
Right.
Because the Neanderthals pretty much turned them stupid people and then ran forward and slaughtered them.
Squatter, yeah.
But, so they hit this Stormwatch again with it, right? And Engineer just pops down and sucks up the box. And I was just like...
Yeah, because she can link up with any technology. She links herself up with it and then shuts it down and pulls it in.
On one hand, that was pretty cool. On the other hand, I was like, well, that was easy.
Right, kind of a letdown.
And, plus it's gone now.
Right.
I mean, the box isn't there. I was like, well, we just ended,
that was a joke.
Millions.
Ooh, these guys, right, because
millennia.
we're talking about hundreds of thousands of years these people have been fighting with each other over this thing.
Yep, we just ended a few millennia of...
in a single issue.
Yep. And then as she kind of gets mutated by all this evil fleshy stuff popping up her. Later on she's puking up flesh and everybody's all like, like ew, because she's vomiting up like guts and like spine and like rotting flesh and whatnot. And like even what's her face, the little girl, as she
Jenny Sparks.
Usually I have the stomach of an alcohol drinking hard adult, but
you
just find the word disgusting.
But what happens at the very end?
Then we find out that their plan was for her to suck up the box.
The Neanderthals are all at the end of the issue going...
It's going to mutate her to some monster and then trash all the Stormwatch.
I'm assuming it's going to turn her into one big giant de-evolutionizer.
Yeah.
Right?
That's what I was thinking.
Infect everything.
Yeah. Like
de-evolve the entire Stormwatch, the wormhole. I mean, who knows? Cool issue.
Yeah.
I like this plot. I like this story. It's an interesting plot in the story, and I'm really enjoying the characters. All the characters that are in it that we see most of the time are they really starting to feel like they each have their own personalities, their own. Midnighter definitely has his own personality. Jenny Spark has her own personality. Apollo has his own personality. Martian Manhunter pretty much has his own personality. Engineer does. We might be a little shaky on Hawkmoon. Is his name Hawkmoon, right? Jack Hawkmoon, the guy that taps into the cities.
Oh, okay. I was just like, Hawkmoon.
That's his name.
Jack, yeah. Yeah,
we don't know as much about him because, of course, this part of this thing that's going on isn't really him. I mean, there is an argument about how come he didn't come down and help, but it's like, well, because
he's completely
useless in that kind of a thing.
He's just a normal guy without the cities.
Right. So, but no, yeah. Like I said, definitely enjoyed it. What would you rate this one?
I'd give it 4.
Yep, I give it 4 too. Really enjoyed this issue a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's next?
Okay, last but not least, we have World's Finest, Huntress and Power Girl, issue 3.
Issue 3. What did I think of this? This issue felt like the last issue, which felt like the last issue to me. As far as the main thing that's going on, they keep being in this fight with this nuclear-powered guy. You know, they brawl with him for a little bit. His radiation overwhelms Power Girl. Power Girl falls down. Huntress hops around and goes, oh my gosh, I gotta take a really great shot. Tonk. And gets that really good shot in most of the time. That seems to be what's happening over and over again.
So why her arrows are glowy? Are they all glowy because he's radiating them?
I don't know.
But as he's putting them up, suddenly instead of just being normal arrows, they get all glowy and they have some weird purple energy around them.
It feels to me like, whereas when we read the Huntress miniseries, she was still a lot closer to the Huntress that I like anyway, the Helena Brucciarelli Huntress, where she's more hardcore and whatnot. And Paul Levitz, the writer of this book, is the guy who originally created the Huntress, who was originally an Earth 2 character. And it feels to me like we're slowly sliding more back to this kind of softer, more palatable Huntress, as opposed to the I'm gonna kick your ass.
No offense.
I'm the equivalent of Batman in female form.
Yeah.
Huntress.
I mean, no offense to this Huntress, but she's kind of lame. I do like, I really should kill you, but I'm just this side of good, so I'm not going to.
Right, I just walk that side, yeah. And I don't feel that so much with this. And continue, Power Girl's costume is still just absolutely god-awful.
Oh, God.
I don't care what you do. Who's drawing it? George Perez rocks. His art rocks, but that costume stinks.
Yeah.
I don't know how much longer I'm going to get this book, because this just doesn't interest me. Now, I want at least the Zero issue, because in the Zero issue, it's like a story of them back being Robin and Supergirl on Earth 2. And I would like to read that because their costumes look cool, they look cool there.
Yeah.
But I don't know about going forward.
And,
does anything of this book excite you?
No. Yeah. And, I had a problem at one point with the art in it. Like, when she has her, barely appropriate dress.
Oh, right, with the window.
But, and she has a star behind her. That was totally okay with me, even the dress. I mean, whatever, I guess. But her face is
Yeah. You still don't like the flashback art. Now, I didn't mind the flashback art.
I guess. She's
in it. Okay.
Was,
I'm sure she wasn't giving like a wink,
But
she's gonna go lay the hottie toddy on Mr. Terrific.
It didn't look like wink, though. It looked like.
Yeah. I've been hit with an ugly stick.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
What did you rate this book?
A very weak 3. It wasn't bad. I'm just not excited about it. It's kind of like, for me, it's roaming around like with Nightwing, and that I don't, like I said, I don't hate the book, and it's not awful. It's just nothing about it excites me, and I was really excited to read this book.
Yeah, it's right in between 2 and 3 for me.
Yeah. That's it for this week, huh?
Yep.
We'll be back next week with another lot of books.
Yeah.
Because we've got them. We're starting reading them.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, have a good one, y'all.